Oh, yeah, I know. I won't sing. I won't sing. Sorry.
So we should play something like.
Is that okay now, Eric? Okay.
Da-dum, da-da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-dee-da-da, da-da-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dee-da-da-dum, da-da-da-dee-da-da-dee-da-da-dum. Da da dee da 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 dum. I da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. I da 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 da. I da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da.
Shabbat Shalom and
Shabbat
welcome
Shalom.
to our virtual Shabbat and to have Shabbat with you, Marcia. It's very good to see you. And so as we transition into this time of Elul, it's a time where it's meant to get quieter and we become more introspective and where we think where we are in our weeks and where we are in our lives. And so take a moment and just ground yourself wherever you're sitting. Feel your feet. Smell the air. Appreciate if there's no smoke in that air. And with that, as we move into Elul, we're going to begin by blowing the shofar to really just snap us awake and make us recall where we are in time and also where we're going. And so with that, if you have candles at home, I invite you to take your candles out to light them. And if you don't have them with you and you're just sitting in front of the computer, I would also invite you just type in the comment section and wish anyone you see who's there now a Shabbat Shalom, but also anyone who comes in to give them a Shabbat Shalom as well.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
You know, Cantor Addy, one of my favorite things about candle lighting is it really is meant to be that barrier where if you think of everything that's happened in the week where you just kind of stop and you let it all fall away because it was a hard week. You know, we've been sitting inside for what feels like years now with the pandemic. It's amazing to be in the sanctuary with you. And then as the smoke hit, you couldn't leave your house anymore, and it just felt like it got smaller. And then we had another terrible moment in our community in Wisconsin this week, and the candles are a time to kind of stop and to hold everything that happened in the week and then taste a bit of what the world could be. And you just appreciate the sweetness of time. And then when we get back to work tomorrow night, you look at all the mishigash in the world and you realize since we tasted what the world could be, we're going to go to work on it. And so with that, we're going to move into L'chadodi, which is literally the welcoming in of that Shabbat spirit.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'sachor b'dibur echad, hishmianu el chamiuchad, Adonai echad. L'shemu tifer מחשבה תחילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני, עלייך נגלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצחולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. And we continue with Shalom Aleichem. If you are in a Siddur or a PDF, we're on page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Yesharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Chamalachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Chamalachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Elai, Ya Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamalachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitkhem Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi Hamalachim, Akadosh Baruch Hu.
With that, we move into Barchu. And the Barchu is a time where we are really ready and we're now prepared to step forward and go into the time, into the place that we want to be. And so synagogues all over the planet, all of their architecture is faced east towards Jerusalem, dreaming of that place and imagining of a utopia, and imagining Jerusalem being that utopia. And so as we leave this week, we now shift our minds to the world that we would like to see as we move into the Barchu. invite you to close your eyes now. And if you'd like to take 3 fingers, to put those 3 fingers in front of your eyes as we move into the Shema. And as we listen to those words, we look deep within, and we listen to where we are in our lives right now. We think about where we want to be. This is the month when we really think of those relationships that need healing, the people we need to talk to. And inside that quiet place, we move to the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Eved. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We're continuing with Mi Chamocha.
מי כמוך, ואלים אדוני, מי כמוך, נדר בקודש, נורא תהי
congregation, we are praying for the healing of Susan Cole, Susanna Benningfeld, Gary Luck, Frank Friedman, Barbara Felton, Ruth Riskin, Brittany Salazar, Adrian Garcia, Stephen Lessard, Dee Leader, Brian Hibbs, Beth Wright, Brad Davis, Rachel Magdalene, Rachama Bat Menucha Malka, and Liam Thornton. If there is someone who you are praying for, I invite you to type in the chat who you are praying for and make sure you let them know that you were thinking about them. If they need a healing of the body or a healing of the soul, or sometimes you need both. Mishaberach Avotenu Vimotenu. Avraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech et hachulim. May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal those who are ill. May the Blessed Holy One be filled with compassion for their health to be restored and their strength to be revived. May God swiftly send them a complete renewal of body and a complete renewal of spirit. And let us all say, Amen.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Oshmor Tzeitenu Uloheinu Lechaim u'Shalom Me'ata ve'ad olam. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leShalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Let there be shalom, shalom, shalom. We're praying for shalom, shalom, shalom. There will be one day, one day, one day. There will be shalom, shalom, shalom.
You are such a gift. Somehow, this big space, you fill the whole space up with that soul. I was even saying to Elisa the other day that somehow you get through the fiber optics and even can touch me through a screen, which is amazing.
I feel everybody here. I can see you even. I know your bodies are in another place, but I see you here. I really do. I see you and I feel you. So thank you.
So I've told you before that one of the things one of my personal traditions with Amidah is that I close my eyes and I try to go to my most perfect space. And oftentimes that's me running back to camp when I was a kid at Camp Swig, and I think of the Redwoods. And so here's what I want everyone to do. I want people to think about, what is that space which opens you up the most? It may be a place from a year ago, a few months ago, it may be 40 years ago. For me tonight, it's actually right here in this sanctuary, because I'm sitting in the sanctuary, and my oldest daughter and her preschool best friend, who are both teenagers now, are sitting here with me. And so find that thing which makes it special for you. And as soon as you're ready, that's the time that we open up completely for the Amidah.
Adonai שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elokei avotenu v'imotenu, Elokei Avraham, Elokei Yitzchak, v'Elokei Yaakov, Elokei Sarah, Elokei Rivka, Elokei Rachel v'Elokei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol atah Rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים ומתיר אסורים ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל HaKadosh.
Please continue silently with the words in your heart.
So during the month of Elul, we recite Psalm 27 every day, and we sang a melody last week, And this week we'll do another melody. And I'll sing the translation to you. One thing I ask of Adonai, this is the thing I request. One thing I ask of Adonai, this is the thing I request. To live in the house of God all the days of my life, to gaze at the beauty of God, to know that your temple is this world. Lachazot benoam Adonai, ulevaker beheichalo. And if you're in a prayer book with us or a PDF, we're on page 358. Achat shalti me'et Adonai ota vakesh. Achat shalti me'et Adonai ota vakesh. Shifti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai. Lachazot benoam Adonai ulevaker beheichalo. Lachazot benoam Adonai, to know that your temple is this world.
Amen. This week, we are in Parshat Ki Titzeh, which is a continuation of Moses' final speech to Israel. We're reaching the finale of the Torah, where Moses is like a great lecturer in his final class, urging to get his point across before his students leave him, and they enter a world that he's not going to. Now, the rabbis, they take this final speech and they break it up week by week into these parshiot to make sure that it fits within the year. But let's be clear. This is one speech. It is one final speech where he's trying to implore us to listen. With that, I'm going to have us look ahead just a few lines to the same speech, but the part of the parsha which we're going to begin tomorrow night. Now, the reason why I want us to look at 2 lines from this speech is because they are so monumentally important to understanding the covenantal idea in Judaism, and in explaining in no uncertain terms the power of language. The power and the deep importance of saying Black Lives Matter. Because it is right here in this speech from Moses to us. It's right inside of our tradition. But I don't want to get too far out in front of myself. I want to stop and look at why this text is so significant and share a teaching from Rabbi Jonathan Sacks. Rabbi Sacks believes that the 2 lines found in Deuteronomy in chapter 26, verse 17 to 18, are so significant that they actually summarize the entirety of the relationship between God and the people of Israel. So let me read you those lines. The first line. You have affirmed, ve'emalta, and that's an important word, we'll get back to that, this day that the Lord is your God, that you will walk in his ways, that you will observe his laws and commandments and rules, and that you will obey him. Now, this translation, it's from 1985 JPS. It is still gendered, but we're going to get the translations in a second, but you should know where that comes from. Here's the second line. And the Lord has affirmed that this day that you are, as he promised you, his treasured people. You shall observe all of his commandments. Now, on the most basic level, what is significant about these lines is that in what appears to be an incredibly simplistic way, it describes the relationship between the Jews and the relationship they have with God. It's not one where God is ruler over the people of Israel, but rather it's a reciprocal relationship, which is unique to Judaism, where we choose God and then God chooses us. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel writes in an essay that the only reason that God exists is because we enable God to exist. But the nature of existence is hidden within this text. Sachs, he points out that the word ha'emicha, it's not found anywhere else in the entire Torah. Now, the root of the word, it seems obvious. It means to speak. But the way it's conjugated is different. It's placed in the hefil, which means that it's causative. So, as with most things in Judaism, there's not a singular understanding of what this means. So the great commentators throughout the millennium, they each translate it differently. And that includes Rashi and Sadia Gaon, Radak, Sforno, Malbim, Judah Halevi, even Robert Alter, the professor at UC Berkeley. None of them can agree on a translation of what that word means. But you see, what Sachs points out is that understanding this word has massive implications because it answers the fundamental question at the root of humanity. How can the finite relate to the infinite? Now, the answer given by Sachs is that our relationship to the infinite, it's found in the root of the understanding of this word. We relate to the infinite through language, with speech, with our words. Now, this is not just looking at how philosophers such as Socrates saw language. Now, Socrates saw language as a tool to describe facts in the world. I am in the sanctuary. I am here with Cantor Addy. That's a fact. It describes the present reality that I'm already in. But you see, language, it's much more than just that. In Judaism, we call it Lashon HaKodesh, literally a language of holiness. And I was speaking about this with Cantor Addy just yesterday. And she was pointing out the nature of the power of the mysticism found within Hebrew. And all of us, we grew up hearing the Aramaic that describes this. You probably didn't realize it was Aramaic, but we all heard it. Abracadabra. We've all heard of the magic. You go, abracadabra. It's Aramaic. It means, I create from the word. Dabra, it comes from davar, which means word, but it also means thing. So literally, we create words and we create things. We do not see a separation between our words and the creation of the real world. Our words create the world. That's why at the very beginning of the Torah, God speaks the world into being. God says, let there be light, and there is light. And Sachs asks the question of what is the human counterpart to speaking and bringing things into reality. If God speaks the physical world into being, how do I use my words to create in this world? When you're at the chuppah, at the marriage canopy, at the ceremony, and I say, Harei at mekudeshet li, you are betrothed to me. I change the status of my relationship, and now I'm married. When a judge sits down in her chair and she says, the court is now in order, she changes the reality of the world with her words. by standing up as a community and saying, Black Lives Matter, we are using our words to change the world, to create a world that does not exist yet. We live in a society and in a nation where we need to say Black Lives Matter to create that reality. Now, you might be thinking that I'm just talking about George Floyd or Jacob Blake. But I'm also talking about a study recently published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences of the United States of America. The team included researchers at Harvard University and George Mason University. And they examined 1.8 million hospital births in the state of Florida between 1992 and 2015. And they found that when Black newborns are cared for by Black physicians rather than by white physicians, their in-hospital death rate is a third lower. If a Black baby is cared for by a white doctor, there is a 33% higher likelihood that that baby will die. As Socrates would use language, I am just describing facts. That's the reality. But as Jews, we don't just live in the is. We live and we strive for the ought, what the world ought to be, not just what the world is. The world ought to be a place where Black lives matter, where we wouldn't have to yell it because it would be a fact that already exists. This week, out of a depth of frustration and exhaustion, a lot of us were brought to tears like Doc Rivers. And we ask ourselves, almost hopelessly, how do we create the world as it's supposed to be? And we might think we don't know how to. It feels totally overwhelming. But the thing is, we actually do. We always have. Abracadabra. We are creators. We can speak the world into being. But it's only when we use our language to begin creating the world that we want to see. That's the reciprocal relationship we have with the divine. We have divine abilities. We have the infinite potential to make things happen, to make anything happen. But we will never realize that potential or see the world that we want if we don't speak it into being. For thousands of years, we built our little Stiebel sanctuaries all over the world. And each one of them would face our fallen Jerusalem, where Jerusalem once stood. And every single day we would pray for the rebuilding of Jerusalem. The reality of a rebuilt Jerusalem, it did not just happen in 1967. It began thousands of years ago when we began to speak what the world would eventually look like. That is what Moses is imploring us to do when we read his final speech. To know that we are more powerful than we ever realized. We have the ability to change the world. But first, we must speak that world into being. And it starts by speaking and saying what that world should be. It's by saying that Black lives matter. Say it. Post it. Put it in the comments. Put it on your Facebook page. Talk to people about it. That is how we will build the world as it should be. Shabbat Shalom. Why should I wish to see God better than this day? I see something of God in each hour of the 24-hour, in each moment then. In the faces of men and women, I see God, and in my own face in the glass, I find letters from God's dropped in the street. And everyone is signed by God's name, and I leave them where they are. For I know that wherever I go, others will punctually come, and forever and ever. As a community, we remember those who will be laid to rest after the Shabbat. Edward King and Dr. J. Starks. We remember those who passed away in the last 30 days. Freydun Eliyahu Sufer, Kara Gigi Lesser Goldfeder, Michael Bear Euclid, Esther Liss Greenstein, Stanley Eisenberg, Rudy Salazar, June Schulman, Sheldon Lambert, Dr. Jerome Fields, Charles Hubbard White II, Mark Berman, David Brown, Sheila Brown, Hannah Greenberg, Moses Riskin, George Leader, and Raymond Brenner. We remember those whose yahrzeit, whose passing falls on this Shabbat. Albert S. Bollock, Sylvia Berger, Isidore Berkowitz, Benjamin Breyer, Ann Kaspers, Jesper Collender, Roland C. Crane, Shara Dimitri, Gerald Ecker, Anna Bayard Ernst, Shmerel Favlikus, Donald Fine, Milton Firestone, Cecile Fox, Michael Friedman, Ronald Friedkin, Thomas Kahn Gardner, Michael Gurman, Gary E. Haas, Gerald Havner, Maury Heller, Mikkel Hirsch, Rebecca Hochman, Holly Howard, Bertha Joschel, Solomon Joschel, Sidney Kalish, Norman N. Katz, Lenora Kashensky, Barbara Coet, Lester A. Krause, Dorothy Lever Innerfeld, Arthur Liebert, Naomi Liebau Schwartz, Janice Lisker, Maxine Long, Tilly Luck, Roman McGowan, Kathy Neuschatz, Doris Ruth Page, Doris Dehovitz Page, Matilda Farber Pearlstein, Jack Pollock, Ruth Radlau, Benjamin F. Rody, Anna E. Rosenzweig, Harry Hillel Scheinbaum, Ed Schoen, Sherman Schwartz, Karen Sichi, Edward R. Siegel, Mary Cohen Siegel, Roberta Seed, Rusty Selix, Gerald Siegel, Adele S. Simpson, David L. Spiegelman, J. M. Spiegelman, Max Spiegelman, Benjamin Starr, G. Bertstoff, Marlene Swartz Levinson, Margaret Taraskis, Fir Udovskaya, Henrietta M. Vorsanger, Nadine R. Williams, Alfred Wilner, Dorothy F. Weiner, Susan Winograd, H. Russell Winokur, Ruth Zittel, and Leah Zussman. If there is someone else who you are remembering, I invite you to type into the chat the name of the person you're remembering plus what their relationship is to you. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. B'alma divrach yotei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol bit Yisrael. B'agala uvizman kali v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam amei amaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudashah brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechamata. Damiran b'yama v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
Oh, say על כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 יאללה לה 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 לה
So I invite you to get some wine if you have wine at home. You may have already started drinking, but if you haven't, I invite you to join me. Yom HaShishi v'yechulu hashamayim v'aretz v'chol tzva'am v'chol Elohim b'yom hashvi malachto asher asa v'yishabot b'yom hashvi makol malachto asher asa v'yivarech Elohim et yom hashvi v'yikadosh oto ki v'oshavav mikol malachto asher bara Elohim la'asot Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pli hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzah banu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי באנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון. הנחלתנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת
לחיים.
So I'm going to have you pause 1 second, because I told you I had a surprise for you. Okay, I told Cantor Addie that I had a surprise for her.
I thought it was your child.
Having her here is amazing, but she made something specially for you. Because we're going to be in the sanctuary, we'll be talking to a camera, so you are holding your surprise. And somehow I snuck this in here without you seeing and swapped everything. So take it off.
Ayla, you made this?
Yes, she made this for you.
Thank you, Ayla.
Look at that.
Oh, my God. This is a challah and a cake all in one. This is amazing. I wish
in a lot of ways, it's a little more cake than
challah. I don't know if you can get
challah.
a close-up of this challah. I'm going to hold it up for you. It's beautiful.
It's a little high on the glycemic index, just a little bit.
It's a special treat.
It's a special treat. So she made it for you, because like Cantor Addie's going to fill the sanctuary, we're going to fill her up. So that is for you.
Thank you, Ayla Bauer. Thank you. I'm holding it up. I hope they're getting a shot. And if you have challah or bread in your home, we can hold it up together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam המוציא לחם מן הארץ בתי avon. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Thank you, Eric Schoen, for being back there and doing everything for us. Thank you. And all of our maintenance people walking around the building as well. Thank you. And thank you, Rabbi Bauer. And thank you, Dan Zemelman, our beautiful piano player.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom. This is amazing. Oh my God.